I want to bring you all up to date a little bit on where we're at with our performance-based total highway maintenance contracts. Just if you haven't seen this before, this is the initial focus area based on a joint TxDOT McKinsey study on which highways and which areas that TxDOT is going to go under performance-based contracting on our for routine maintenance on highways. You'll see there from the bottom right, you're starting off in the Houston metro area and then going up north towards Dallas on Interstate 45 and then the Dallas metro area and then down towards San Antonio on the I-35 area. This is just a little bit different map. Well, there's a pin here. It didn't work. There it is. Okay, just to tell you, if you're not aware, okay, we have this section of Interstate 35 that's been under contract on, I believe it's on its third generation since 1999. This is the current contract in Austin, Interstate 35 through the district boundaries, short section of 290, State Highway 71, Loop 1 or MOPAC, and US 183 here. San Antonio metro area will take care of Interstate 35 through the district boundaries, and then basically all the major roadways, thoroughfares within 410. Over here we got a potential project on Interstate 10 from San Antonio over to almost Houston, possibly all the way to Houston. We have a current contract in Houston for all the major metro areas within Beltway 8. This yellowish area is Interstate 45. It was a current contract, it's a contract that was under contract. I believe it was August 2012 that went under contract. And then we have this Interstate 45 up to Dallas I spoke of earlier, and the major thoroughfares within the Dallas County up there in the Dallas area. In Austin, we let the contract in Austin in the metro area in December of 2013. We had, I already explained the different roadways. This section, if you can see it well enough, there's a section of roadway under contract right now on MOPAC. So not all of that is in the routine maintenance provision of the contract. It is a CTRMA MOPAC improvement project that's going underway. So the southern section of MOPAC is within this contract, but it was let, like I said, in December of 2013. ISI Contracting got the low bid of about $11.4 million of the 4 bids received, 19% plus under the engineer's estimate, and there are $4 million underneath the second bidder. Work started on that in April of 2014. Okay, it's not moving. Okay, January 2014, we let the Houston project, everything inside Beltway 8. Texas Tree and Landscape got that low bid. Of the 3 bids received, 14+% under the engineer's estimate, $6 million underneath the second bidder, and work started on that June 1st. Subsequent to the letting process, the Texas Tree and Landscape, a lot of y'all may have heard about this happening throughout the state. They assigned the contract to DBI Services, and DBI Services started performing on contract. under the contract on June 1st of 2014. Then in February of 2014, we let the Bryan contract, which is IH-45 from the Montgomery-Walker County line up to almost Interstate 20. It's really Millers Ferry Road, just south of Interstate 20, I-45 interchange. Texas Sterling Construction had that bid at $12.9 million, 26% under the engineer's estimate and $3 million under the second bidder. And the work started on that in July 1st of 2014. Then we had the Dallas contract. That was let in July of 2014. That's the most recent one to date. And that's basically all the major thoroughfares inside Dallas County, Interstate 20, 30, 35E, all the major ones. 160 main lane centerline miles. Amy Consulting USA Incorporated submitted the lowest bid, $19.3 million, 11% under engineer's estimate, $2 million under the second bidder, and work will start November 1st, 2014. How many people have heard of Amy Consulting USA Incorporated? Okay, they are a company that does a lot of asset management in the UK. And when we started this program in the summer of last year, there was a tremendous amount of interest, and they were involved with us quite a bit in the development of this performance-based spec. So this is going to be their first step, and they're partnered with Weber on this project. Okay, and this is a summary of everything under contract. If you look at it, we've got, we don't need to go through this individually, but we've got almost 14,000 total miles under contract for $73.3 million. You can look at the variety of cost per mile if you want to look at it that way. And this also, by the way, includes approximately 20% of other bid item work to perform some preventive maintenance type projects. It varies across each contract. It could be seal coat on one, could be bridge joint repair on another, pavement repair on another. We have additional bid items in there that is above and beyond the normal routine maintenance expectation. The way that we have this set up is it's a performance-based contract that if we say that the contractor needs to do something in the contract, then they need to do it or else they don't get paid for it. And one of those, this is sort of a summary table of how the contractor will be performed. And it's broken out into three categories: quality, safety, and timeliness. We use the condition assessment scoring at a rate of about 10% of payment, and then each of those, the elements or component scores are broke down 10% each, and then the overall condition assessment also contributes to 10% of the payment. And then we have safety key performance indicators, and then timeliness key performance indicators for a total of 100% payment. That's the breakdown of whether they get paid or how they get paid if they do everything they need to do. So again, it's a 50% total potential penalty on quality. Included in that is another sideline that they have a requirement to develop and submit a quality plan within 60 days of time starting. And if they don't, then there's a 5% reduction in pay for that first month, and then after that there's a 10%. And this quality plan is to be based on and be compliant with ISO 9001-2008. To date, none of the contractors have failed to submit. And also there's a potential for them to have a reduction in pay based on our audit of their implementation of their quality plan. And then the condition assessments I explained a little bit earlier, and those are basically text map assessment, similar to text map assessment, and we do a quarterly assessment throughout the year and may, based on those assessments, determine whether or not they get a reduction in pay. The total safety percentage reduction in pay for meeting the requirements of the key performance indicators is 20%, up to 20%. And the other KPIs that are timeliness related have a total 30% potential penalty in pay reduction. Here's the table, and basically you can see that it says if you're at 90% or below, there's a potential for reduction in pay. If you're at 90% and above, then you don't have a reduction in pay for timeliness. But this shows a possible incentive in the safety area. If you're working on a safety KPI, you have the potential of up to 1% increase in pay for that month. That 0.05, just highlight there that it's an error. Although it is under contract right now in 3 at least contracts, it's after that was discovered, it's moved to 0.5%. Just so they're just be completely open with everybody. This is the performance today of key performance indicators. It's a little graph of how each of the projects are going, and you can look at the Bryan project is in the light green. They have been consistently above KPI performance levels of 90%. These are separated into safety and timeliness KPI. The dark blue is the Austin contract, and you can see the variability throughout the start of work and how well that's been going. And it appears, I can't look at it from here, but since June there seems to be everything is positive without any negative deductions. Houston is a little different. There's been some downs, a little bit ups, but one occasion where there wasn't something that was below 90% level. In other words, they didn't receive a deduction in pay for that. So as far as future goes, we had hoped last week to advertise the San Antonio Metro contract and didn't get there yet, so we're hoping to advertise that this week if we can get some things completed for the December letting for an April 2015 start date, trying to give the contractors time between contract execution and the initial start date because there is some mobilization effort to get started. Yoakum, we have a possible I-10 contract, as I pointed to in the beginning there on one of those slides, in the spring of 2015 to summer 2015 letting. I still need to meet with Yoakum District and have some further conversations about that. Beaumont Interstate 10, that also includes some other portion of Interstate 10, looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of September 2015 letting. Waco and Dallas Interstate 35, Tony and I have talked several times about what the right timing is. As everybody's probably aware, everybody understands there's construction going up and down the area, and there is an existing contract. We're going to get together again and touch base again and try to figure out what the right date on that is going to be. That includes Dallas Interstate 35 up to Dallas County, potentially. That's still further discussion. And then other contracts as requested and approved. I've had several conversations with a number of different people about the potential for these types of contracts to go into different areas. If you have any concern about whether or not it's the right thing to do, it's always open to discussion. We can talk about it and see if it fits right and model it. We're on the 4th version of the special specification, if I remember correctly. We absolutely had it right the first time, but we had to modify it a little bit the second time and third and fourth. Now, there's a little bit that you think that you have, and each time we've had only implementation since April of 2014, so we find it, we put it in there and help the next contract goes better. So I'm open for any questions anybody has. No, is this a call-out basis? Now, let me explain. This is completely different than those type contracts. We have this contract set up that for this, the current practice, the expectation is that contractors out there looking for things that are wrong on the roadway, identifying them, and then fixing them in the amount of time that we give them in the key performance table. So we essentially don't call them out to do anything. Yes, they do get calls out. They, our folks, as well as police agencies, when they discover something, they get sent directly to that contractor, and that contractor is supposed to be responding in a certain amount of time. They go out there for incidents, set up traffic control if the police agency wants them to do that, if they need them to set up traffic control. But it's not like the typical type contract that we have. Very good question. Thank you.
About snow and ice?
Snow and ice is included also. Snow and ice was originally going to be in a complete performance package in the same special specification. We got to the end of the road before letting and removed it, and it is now pay as you need. Very similar to the snow and ice specifications that have been used in the past, with an exception. There is also a payment for winter weather season that is defined in the plans. And all of them, to this point, I think, all the winter weather seasons has been defined as the months of November through March. In other words, we pay the contractor to have equipment on hand, calibrated, properly licensed, ready to go, to respond to a winter weather call out and get there to that stockpile within 2 hours. If they don't get there in 2 hours, they don't get paid, or they get liquidated damage. Yes, sir.
Sometimes maintenance is tied to asset management. So are these contracts all reactive in nature, or is there an asset management plan that they're bidding with, so that on any given day, they know that some signs are 10 years old, they should go out and check them, even though they're still not bent or broken? So how does the asset management component of this play into your bids?
How does the asset management component of our highways, you can correct me if I'm restating this wrong, play into these bids? We have, in the original contracts, provided some cost data to the contractors prior to bid, and we started out providing them with MRDC data on long lines within the roadway. That's the end of it. That's all we've provided. We have not provided the reflectivity of signs along the roadway or any other accumulation or quantities of assets along the roadway. We have recognized, and all the contractors wanted to have that sort of information prior to bidding. It stands to reason, but we've not been able to do that to this point. That has been in discussion. We haven't got there yet. It's been a pretty busy year trying to get things going. Yes, sir. Going towards. Well, I remember Interstate 35, and I do remember 20. Is that right, Carolyn? Yes, Interstate 20. Although I don't recall 20 being on there, but Carolyn does. Yes. I'm done. Just kidding. What's different? This is completely different. This is do it and get paid. Don't do it, you don't get paid. That was more argumentative, so to speak. And then there are still some contracts that way. There may be something written within the specification that says you must do this, but no penalty for if you do not do this. Performance, I would say, is the biggest part of it, and the penalty for no performance. As you can see by the variability on that chart there have been different variations of presentation or performance, and one of them in particular has really suffered. And I'm very, very sorry about that. But at the same time, in that region, there have been quite a few complaints that the department has taken on.
They had the highest bid price.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
John.